Welcome to the Fit Dad Club podcast. My name is Travis Jones and I am here with Jason Barrett for another week of helping dads become the best version of themselves. Jace, how you doing today, mate?
I'm well. I'm a wee bit cold this morning, as I always say to the guy who lives in Tasmania. But, I mean, look, apart from that, sun is shining, even though it's cold, the birds are chirping. Been making it into the gym pretty consistently, doing my my back rehab stuff, which has been going really well. Able to do about 15 slow reps at the moment of full back extension, where I'm going trying to go full spinal flexion all the way down, like really rounded back all the way down, all the way back up into full extension. So that's been going really well. I finally have been getting a pump, or a lower back pump from doing it. You know, it's a unique experience, but all that stuff has been going pretty well in terms of just working on the strengthening the lower back and stuff. So apart from that, it's been going good. What about you, man?
Well, this week I started more of an elimination diet for myself, just to take down the inflammation because of the recurring staph infections. So basically every meal this week, it's like an elimination diet / carnivore, just to take everything out that could possibly inflame me. So I've been having 3 meat patties and half an avocado and some goat's cheese for lunch. And then dinner's been 2 sirloin steaks or 2 salmon fillets and 2 eggs and another half avocado. And that's literally what I've been eating every day. So lots of protein, lots of fats, and maybe a greens drink to get some micronutrients in there. But you know what, I feel okay so far. This is not a long-term thing, guys. This is a 21-day elimination where then I'll start to add foods back in, just so I can sort of decrease some of the inflammation that could be causing the staph infections I'm getting, decrease my load on this week. So I've done about 25 Ks of running, a couple of training sessions, feeling pretty good, just a little bit lethargic still on the back end of it, but I'm getting it done and being patient and doing the right stuff, which is the big thing. I did lose 3.5 kilos in 5 days from only eating meat, which is
you've not got a lot of water. You've got some low muscle glycogen there, but
exactly.
Hey, little side benefits. You know, exactly. It's like having diarrhea, right? Yeah,
mate. Exactly.
It's not good, but it's
It's all right. It's all right. So I'm sitting there. I was at 93, just over 93. So I'm just getting under the 90s now. So for me, I'm fighting weight's 86. So I think over the next 21 days, I'll probably drop down to the 86s. But then, having some carbs after that, I'll probably pop back up into the 88s, which will be all right. But other than that, the main thing for me is I have trained, I haven't felt bad, I'm eating well, and I haven't had a staph infection this week. So definitely a good thing. Next week is another story, but this week I'm feeling good. And this episode today is all about, I guess it's a bit of mental toughness. And I think every single one of us, me, you, everyone needs to try their best to continue to increase their mental toughness, their mental fortitude. And it's really just doing what you said you were going to do, even after the mood where you made the initial decision has passed. And I think that's what we were talking about before the podcast started, because we make these elaborate plans where even if it's a plan like I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. and train, and you feel good the night before, I'm going to crush it. And then the next day rolls around, the mood has passed and it's 5 a.m. and it's dark and it's cold and it's the middle of winter and it's raining outside. You're like, I'm going to press snooze. Because the mood's passed where you made the initial decision. Now, what we do is we start to look for the instant gratification rather than delayed gratification. And it's what's going to feel good in the moment. And I think that's where mental toughness comes in, right? We're constantly, as a society, folding to the quick wins. Where when I say quick wins, it's what's going to make me feel good right now? And no, getting up out of bed at 5 a.m. and doing a 30-minute run or a 30-minute workout, which is just 2% of your day, that doesn't feel better than, cuddling your partner or, having a quickie before you get up or whatever the hell you do at 5 a.m., maybe just still snoring. But it doesn't feel better, but it's going to move you forward. And especially because you said you were going to do it. And I think that is the biggest thing. I would rather people not say, and this is what when we coach people, what I look at is, let's not over promise to ourselves what we're going to do. Let's under promise and then over deliver on the results. One of the guys that I'm coaching is getting back into it. He's had a couple of weeks with some 40th and he's been away and, he's getting back into it really well with his tracking next week. And he's got a half marathon at the end of August. And I was like, next week, man, let's just follow a strict, let's hit our calories and hit our protein. And like, we took away decision fatigue. It's like, this is your breakfast. You're going to have a pre-made meal every lunch. And this is your meal plan for dinner, like you're going to have with your partner at night. So it's giving him some bright lines. And because it's really important for him getting his nutrition back on track, I said, do this, do your 3 runs. I was like, if you hit the gym next week, I don't care. Right? It's like, don't say, yeah, I'm going to also hit the gym 3 times a week, because what you're doing is like, you said you're going to do it. Now, if you don't do it, you're putting a vote in the loss column. Like you're losing your self-integrity. You're losing your self-respect. So I said to him, if you hit the gym next week, hey, that's a bonus session. I don't expect it for you, and you shouldn't expect it from you. But if you do it, then great. But after this next week, once you hit your 3 runs and do your nutrition well, then we're going to make sure the next week we also get 1 or 2 training sessions in the gym, and we stack it up, because we need to build momentum before we make it harder and harder and harder. It's like, I'd rather you under promise to yourself and actually follow through with your word, so you have that self-integrity and that self-belief increases than anything else, because that's the springboard to self-efficacy, right? It's like the belief that you can follow through and you can actually do something. It's the belief that, yes, I said I was going to do it and I follow my word. Whereas so many of us, man, like we lie to ourselves like fucking 30, 40 times a day. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, it's like the amount of times that you say something to yourself and then you're like, oh, I should do this. And then it's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to do that. And then you just fucking ignore it, right? Like it's, we've talked about it so many times before, but it bears repeating that every time that you do that, that's like a vote of it's like a vote of no confidence in yourself. It's like the government, right? It's like, I've got a vote of no confidence in the government. You've got a vote of no confidence in your fucking government, right? In your mental government. Yeah, exactly. Your self-governance. You're not governing yourself. You're being blown around by the wind, and you're making these willy-nilly decisions and fucking dabbling here and dabbling there, and you're never really actually committing to anything because you don't have to, or you think you don't have to, right? But your kids see this. Your kids see you dabbling from thing to thing. Oh, I'm going to start this Fit Dads thing. Oh no, it looked a little bit too hard, or it meant I had to, track my food. And oh, that's a bit much. It's like you're going to spend more time fucking eating than you are tracking, but whatever, right? Like it's, I think, one of those things where you've got to really own your word, and you've got to really back yourself and back your word. And as Trav's saying, sometimes it's because you've been setting these big fucking lofty goals. I'm going to train 5 days a week. We've been training 0 days a week the last couple of weeks. So let's not get ahead of yourself. Let's set realistic goals and actually start to tick them off and get momentum. But when it comes to building this like resilience and the whole idea of doing what you said you're going to do after the mood you set it in has passed. So to me, that means that you are emotionally resilient and you're in control of your emotions. And even if let's say you're in shitty emotional state, you're not letting that temporary shitty emotional state dictate what you do. And the amount of my guys that are getting so much better at this, like, all right, I felt like shit, but I went home and made myself a chicken sandwich instead of going past McDonald's or going past KFC. Like that was the decision that, even though they were in a shitty emotional state, it's like I still made a good decision, right? I still made a good choice out of that decision because I made the commitment and I want the result. And it's like, that's really the two things. It's like you make the commitment and you've got to want the result. If you have those two things in alignment, there should be nothing stopping you from taking the actions. But for most guys, they want the result, but they lack the commitment. They think it's going to be too hard, or they think it's going to be too much, or they think that they're not going to be able to do it, or they'll go and then, but then what if I want to have beers, and what if I want to have this? And all that kind of stuff. Like, fuck that. Make the commitment to yourself. Make the commitment and go, no matter what, even when I'm going to feel shit, and anticipate that you're going to feel shit, because you will. There's going to be times where you have to work late, or you're up early because the kids are screaming and crying and stuff's going on. There's got to be those times. There's going to be times where money is tight and you're going to have to make financial decisions. But it's like, you've got to be in control in those situations. And you've got to go, I know that these things might possibly happen, but I'm still going to stay committed to my result. Because especially when it comes to time, some of my guys who are like, oh, like I don't have I've not had a lot of time, so I put training to the side a bit, but I'm getting stressed out a lot. I'm like, yeah, you're getting stressed out because you're not fucking doing anything to move your body. You're not getting through the emotions. It's like the time when you start to cut physical activity out of your life is the time when you need it the most, because there's nothing that requires you for that many hours a day that you can't take half an hour for yourself to train, right? Like I understand newborn phase, but even newborn phase, if you've got a toddler, take them out for a fucking run or play in the pram and get physical that way, right? Do something in that realm rather than, it doesn't always have to be the gym, but you've got to get your ass moving. And because number one, you said you would, but number two, you've got to not let the temporary circumstances affect your decision making, and the temporary circumstances affect your commitment to yourself.
I completely agree, mate. I think, you made a lot of good points there, but I think mental toughness requires prior preparation. I think that's a big thing, right? Like we're not just saying doing hard things for the sake of doing hard things, or don't make your life harder to try and make yourself fucking mentally tough. Like that's not it. Like you can make shit harder, because it's all about doing what you said you're going to do at the end of the day. So what you want to do is you want to set yourself up for success as much as you possibly can. We don't expect you to have a really hard day and then hit, you don't have food prepared. You don't know what you're going to eat. You're like, it's easy when you already know exactly what you're going to eat. Maybe it's already prepped in a way. And then you go, yep, we're eating this. But if you don't know what you're going to eat, well, it's easier to fall prey to prior decisions or prior choices and, like be less mentally tough and, fall prey to negative emotions or negative feelings and choose the easier option, which is going to be the less than best version of you. So, staying true to yourself and staying true to your long-term success requires a lot of, or not a lot, but it requires some form of prior preparation. Waking up at 5 a.m., you don't just start waking up. Like you put your phone away from your bed. You make sure your clothes are already laid out. You make sure that, the phone is in another room, so you have to get up so you don't wake the kids. You literally jump out of bed. You splash water on you. You've already thought about a routine that in the morning you splash water on your face. You drink some water, and you know what you're going to do. It's not like you're not going to walk around the house and scroll your phone for 30 minutes and then, I don't have any time. It's like, this happens, then this happens. I've got a plan for my morning to execute the things that are going to make me feel great and the things that I'm trying to fit in so I can be the best version of myself. So like that requires some form of prior preparation. Like hitting your meals requires some form of prior preparation. Going to the gym and not having a really shit ass workout requires you to have some form of program or prior preparation. Like, it doesn't take a lot, but each of these factors requires some. And so many of us are like living by default, hoping that we're going to get the result we're after, when in reality is no one has fallen their way into a body transformation. You don't just wake up one day and go, fuck, I got abs. I don't know how that happened, but I got them. No, you didn't. It required planning. It required commitment. It required mental toughness, and it required staying just outside your comfort zone. It didn't go from like 0 to hero, right? It's one step at a time. If you're currently a -4, don't try and be a +10. Like just try and be a -2. Like just climb yourself out of the hole one day at a time. Mentally tough at the start. It's not fucking David Goggins. Like it's not. And I think this is what the problem is. Like so many people go, if I'm not running 100 miles or if I'm not doing some ridiculous workout or I'm not doing some crazy ass diet plan that doesn't require mental toughness. Mental toughness sometimes is just 8,000 steps a day. Like it is. But you do that for long enough, you've taken the next step in your mental toughness journey. You have to understand it. Everyone's on their own journey. Stop comparing your day one to someone else's day 753, right? Like stop comparing yourself and understand my mental toughness journey is here. And then in 12 weeks, it will be there, but I can't play as if I'm a year 2. Right? Like you're not in the AFL or you're not even in the Premier League. Like, mate, you're a weekend warrior right now trying to get back out on the footy field and you need those types of behaviors. And that doesn't mean you can't move forward, but we can't start focusing as if we are better than we are. We need to go, I just need to hit my calories or I just need to hit 8,000 steps, right? And then when I start winning, I start feeling better. Then I have increased level of self-efficacy. And like self-efficacy, to be honest, I only learned this word like 4 years ago. And before that, I didn't even know what self-efficacy means. But I think it's really important because it refers to an individual's belief in their capacity to execute necessary behaviors, right? To produce like performance-based outcomes or attainments. So it's like, if you don't believe you can perform a behavior, you have a low self-efficacy, right? And so many of you, I'm like, okay, cool, dude. Like we need to lose 15 kilos, or we want to get abs. I can't even get abs. You have a low self-efficacy because you don't believe, one, you can get there, or you can execute the behaviors to get there. If you have a higher self-efficacy, right? If you have had abs before, and maybe you've done it a couple of times, and maybe you know the behaviors have slipped in, you have a high self-efficacy, and you're more likely to stick to the plan because you know if I do the work, I get the result, and the result is possible. I just have to do the work, and you just need some accountability and some fine-tuning. So people with a high self-efficacy are more likely to achieve their result because they believe that doing the work will get the result. When a lot of people, they don't even believe doing the work will get the result, so they'll continue to sabotage themselves and have a negative internal dialogue all throughout the program. So then they'll continue to self-sabotage and they'll fall prey to making decisions based on their emotions, not based on what needs to be done right now. So all we're saying is take your emotions out of the picture, just start executing the process, and maybe be a little bit more stoic and focus on what you can control, which is literally your effort and your attitude. I don't care if you feel like a Palmer, eat the steak and veg, right? Like, you just follow your process for long enough, and then what happens is you'll start to see the results, and then you start to see the results, you start to increase your level of self-efficacy, and as that increases, you can make things a little bit harder because your mental toughness, that muscle has increased again, so you can make it harder again, and because your belief has increased, you're willing to do even more, and it's just a stepping stone, guys, and that's all you have to understand.
Yeah, it's not trying to take 10,000 steps before you've taken the first step, right? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. You just got to be willing to take that step and then just keep fucking walking. I think this is a big thing. People stop walking. They stop and they look at the sights and they pause and they look back behind them. They're like, oh, in front of me is a bit foggy, but behind me it's not foggy. I know where I've been behind me, so I'm just going to start walking backwards that way. Or maybe I am walking the wrong direction when they've only taken 3 or 4 steps in. It's like, fuck, you've got to give something a crack. You've got to really give something a go. And I've had this, I don't know if you guys all do this, but sometimes I have imaginary arguments and imaginary conversations with people that would never happen. Because at the moment, I'm going in the gym 2 to 3 days a week. I'm doing the same exercises, which to a lot of the guys in there probably look a bit weird. And also it's a bit like, oh, that dude's, he's come in here. He hasn't fucking bench pressed once. He hasn't done one bicep curl. He sometimes does some push-ups and some pull-ups, but mostly it's these fucking tib and calf raises and doing these step-ups and doing some some hip flexor stretches and then some back extensions. And it's I just have this imaginary argument, or not argument, but conversation with people what are you doing? It's well, I'm doing a protocol that I want to give my full commitment to, and I'm sticking it out for, a good couple months to make sure that I get the most out of it, because it's the people, and I've seen people injure themselves doing the same protocol because they then start doing other shit. Whereas the protocol tells you, look, try to avoid doing other stuff in the meantime because you're working on lower back rehab at this point. And people get halfway into it and they're like, oh, but I reckon I could start doing some fucking deadlifts again. I feel pretty good. Then, yeah, I hurt myself again. Oh, surprise, surprise, you hurt yourself again. Oh, I started doing some interval sprints while I was doing this as well. And then I went and did some back extensions and then it hurt. It's well, no shit. Fucking follow the plan. At the end of the day, if you have a good coach, then if you follow the plan, you will get the result eventually, because a good coach will change the plan if you're sticking to it and it's not getting the result. You just change it and you keep on moving forward. But so many people aren't willing to give it enough of a crack and enough of a go to actually get the result, right? I think a lot of people get kind of complacent, oh, I'm kind of happy with where I'm at. It's you're not really happy with where you're at. You're just a little bit afraid of the effort and a little bit afraid of the journey. And also that, as Trav's saying, that idea of the self-efficacy of, I don't think I can actually make it happen. But it can happen if you just be fucking blind and just go in and go, all right, I'm just going to fucking trust my coach and do what my coach says, right? Because then guess what? If it doesn't work, then you actually have a legitimate reason to just blame the coach, right? If you were with a coach for 20 weeks and did every single thing they said and you didn't get the result, then oh yeah, it was probably not a great fucking strategy. Yeah, blame them, 100%. If that happens to us, blame us. Fucking give me your money back if after 20 weeks you do every single thing I say and you don't get the result. Unless you've got some fucking super hypothyroidism where you've just got like absolutely nothing functioning, extenuating circumstances. But that's legitimately it, right? Like you've got to, if you're willing to commit to it, you've got something to kind of fall back on, because too many people are worried, oh, what if I commit to this plan and then it doesn't work, or I fail, or I fuck it up, right? And then that's the thing. It's like, oh, I'm not going to go fully in. I'm not going to put all my chips in, because if I go bust, then I've got no one to blame but myself. And it's like, that's true to a degree, but if you're following a plan, right, and the plan doesn't work, then you can change the plan to continue to get the result, and you will eventually get the result. It's a fucking mathematical game at this point. It's just how hard are you willing to work to get that result, and how important is that result to you?
Yeah, mate. And I agree with that as well. I think people, one, don't execute the plan for long enough to get the result, or they make excuses around not executing the plan properly. Or at the end of the month, people, a lot of the time, not clients, but sometimes clients, just yourself. I don't want anyone to reflect out there right now. At the end of the month, you sort of get upset with yourself with, the results you didn't get. And you start to talk yourself into, no, but I worked so hard this month. And then we look back over your month and it's like, well, did you? But at the moment you're upset with the results you didn't get because the work you didn't do. You trained, yeah, cool. Your training was like, you did 15 training sessions. So you averaged like 3.7 sessions a week. Like, good for you, right? But you tracked 19 out of 30 days. So you tracked like 65% of your month, right? So a third of your month, you could have been way over your calories and you've lost 2 kilos, right? So just think, if like the third of your month, you still had been tracking your calories and you had stayed under them and hit your protein goal, then you would have lost 5 kilos. But you still lost 2, even though you only tracked 65% of your month. So maybe try and track 80% of your month next month and you'll lose 4. And then we can start tracking 100% of your month and you'll lose 5. But you can't be upset. You actually have to look at the data and go, am I upset right now with the results I didn't get? Or am I really actually just upset with myself because I didn't do the work to get the results I didn't get? And we find it easier to point the finger at the process or at the person rather than look in the mirror and point the finger at ourselves, because we didn't execute the plan accordingly, because either we made it too hard, or we made too many excuses, or we had too many justifications, or we blamed the wrong people, right? You got to fight for you harder than anyone else, right? No one is coming to save you. Like, you have to save you. People will be there to help you. Like, we're there to help people, but we can't fucking save people, right? We are there as literally like a guide, but they still have to walk out of the hell that they currently feel, because they currently feel overweight, under-energized, and not a role model to their kids or their family. And everyone should feel energized, should feel fucking great, should feel like they can run through walls, and should feel like they are a role model to their kids and their family, because our kids do what we do, not what we say, right? If you ask your kids to follow through with something and you get upset, oh, my kids just don't do their homework, and I ask them to do their homework, they always change sports and they just don't follow through. It's like, dude, you've done 17 diets in the last 5 years and you've fallen off every single one of them. Like, you're doing exactly the same thing as your kids are doing. So maybe you stick to a plan. Your kids will see that you have discipline, you have that self-efficacy, and that's how they will build the resilience. Because if not, you're just hypocritical. And we don't want to be hypocritical to our kids. Like, we want to tell them, yeah, man, like, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you don't want to study. But you know what? If you stay at it and you're for long enough, with consistency, with the right approach, you'll get the reward. And that is life. Like, you stay focused for long enough at anything, you get the reward. At your job, at your skill acquisition, at your diet, at your training, at your relationship. Like, you stay focused with not just practice, but what's the word I'm looking for right now, Jace? It's deliberate practice is the word.
Yeah.
With deliberate practice for long enough. So it's not just practice. You're not just tracking anything. You're tracking with intent to hit some form of nutrition goal or protein goal, or training with an intent to hit some form of volume or training regime. But you're training with intent, with deliberate practice for long enough and consistency, you will acquire any skill that you want in life, whether that be money or fitness or relationship. And I feel like we all just need that little bit more deliberate practice, and we need to follow through with the do what you said you're going to do to actually get there.
Yeah, I think that's like what sums up everything for me. Is like, just do what you said you were going to do. And if you find yourself consistently being unable to fulfill that, change what you keep telling yourself you're going to do. And that's like, it's okay to lower the bar a bit. If you're setting an unsustainable bar, set a lower bar and raise it over time. Like, too many guys, as you said, get caught up with this fucking, I'm going to carry you don't have to carry the boats, right? You got a few years before you need to carry the boats, right? And the logs. Just fucking carry yourself for a little bit, right? But here's the thing for me. It applies to areas other than fitness. It applies across the board. You've got to start doing the shit you said you were going to do. You said you were going to go past the shops and get some stuff on the way home for your partner. Go past the shops and do exactly what you said. You said you were going to cook a romantic dinner. Fucking cook a romantic dinner, right? Whatever the thing is that you said you were going to do. You said you were going to. This is a big one for me. You said you were going to take your kids to the park. Take them to the fucking park. Right? Like, I have told my wife many times, I'm like, I never want to be the dad who's like, oh yeah, we can go do this thing, and then later on go, oh nah, like, oh, we can't because of whatever reason. I'm like, I don't care if it fucks up the day, whatever. If I tell them, hey, we're going to go to the park, and if it is raining, hey, do you want to put your raincoat on? Let's go to the park. If they say, no, Dad, I don't want to go to the park, I'm like, okay, cool, but
that's okay. That's there. On you, not on me. Exactly.
Exactly. It's following up and following through on what you said you were going to do, because they fucking listen and they take that in and they go, Dad doesn't do what he said he's going to do, right? You see Dad go,
so why should I?
Yeah, exactly. I signed up for this program, or I started doing this fitness transformation, and then halfway through, oh, nah, no. Oh, Dad, why are you having pizza? I thought you said you were on a fitness thing. Oh, nah, I didn't like it. And it's like, oh, okay. Cool. My dad doesn't do what he says he's going to do. Why am I going to believe him when he said he's going to come to the assembly when I get a certificate? Why would I believe him when he said he's going to, come support me at my game or whatever, right? Like, it's big shit for kids. And I mean, dude, I look at my daughter and I'm like, I never want you to experience that shit. I never want you to think Dad's not going to be there for you or fucking follow through for you ever, right?
Man, the hardest thing for me is like reading to the boys at night, because I get home from work and then I have dinner and then I'll read to them, and it'll be like 8 o'clock every night. And man, some days I am so tired to read, and I read 10 pages of the book every single night. So it's like, 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, you're ticking off your, what is it, the 75 hard thing? You're reading 10 pages of the book, man.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, exactly. But this is like Percy Jackson, like number 3. But like they love it so much. They cuddle into me, like I read the book, they'll ask questions like nonstop. I'm like, guys, can I just read the book, please? They're asking questions of different gods and all the rest of it. But sometimes, man, like I'm so tired, I'm like, I don't want to read. And I've got this conversation going through my head. But I know that I said I'm going to read. I know that, we have made a commitment to each other. And probably like one day a week I don't read, but me and the boys the night before going, oh, you're going to stay at your Poppy's house tomorrow night, so I can't read. Or tomorrow night's like a really late night, we're going out to someone else, so when we get home we're just going to go to bed. Maybe that's like one day, but we've also made a prior commitment before that moment that we're not going to read. But 6 out of 7 days I read, because that's what we do at night. And that's my time with them. And even if I'm tired, even if I don't want to, I said I'm going to do this, so I must do it, because I follow through with my word, because it means so much to them. So that means it means so much to me. And that's the same as your health and fitness. It should mean so much to you, but also should mean so much to you because it means so much to them. They want a healthy and fit dad. Like, trust me, they do. They want you to be healthy and fit. 1, so you're on this earth for longer. 2, so you can play with them. 3, so as they become teenagers, you can do more stuff with them. Like, I see like a lot of dads, to be honest, man, like I've got a couple of clients down here where I am, and like their kids are like coming into like 12 and 13, and they're, carrying a good 30, 40 kilos overweight, extra weight. And well, I think they are. They think they're carrying an extra 10, but they're carrying an extra 30 kilos. And they've said, like, I actually have to do something about it. And I honestly think it's because they can see their kids are getting to 12 and 13. And unless they do something about it, now they have no more things they can do with their boys unless they just start getting their kids into drinking at like 16. Then there's bonding. But like, you know, if they're like going on motorbikes or going for runs or playing sport and you're like 30 kilos overweight and don't have energy, your kids are doing something and you can't do it with them. So all of a sudden your relationship has started to disconnect already. So they try and get fit so they can have that relationship with their kids where they get to bond and do stuff with them that's positive for that extra like 3 or 4 years. Because if you're running, like you'll be able to do that with your kids, you know, until they're 18 or until they're 40 or 50, whatever, how long you do this for. You know, if you get them into the gym with you, like you'll be training with them like 3-4 days a week for the next like 4 or 5 years. And that's so many hours you get to spend with your kids that you wouldn't otherwise. And it's like good hours where you get to show them and teach them and help them, right? Like you get to like have energy to do and kick the footy with them and not just kick the footy once and then sit down and have a beer. Like you want to kick the footy and play a game with them because you feel energized. And I feel like there's this moment, and I want everyone to think about it. If your kids are already 10 or 8 or, you know, if they're getting there, it's like, you know, your year, if you're overweight and you're under energized and don't have the fitness level, your years are much more numbered that you have left with interacting with your kids in a positive way than you realize. So I would say you need to do something about it so you can prolong the time that you get to spend with your kids, because like that time is so fucking valuable.
100%. You can't, as Trev said, you don't get that time back. So
No,
spend it being as authentic and deliberate and congruent as possible. I think that's the big message for me out of this one, is just congruence. Just be in alignment, do the shit you said you're going to do, and just start saying better shit if that's what you need to say.
Exactly. And that's it today, guys, for the Fit Dad Club podcast. Go to fit-dad.club if you want to have a chat with us to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Because that's what we do. We close gaps, right? We just help you get back to you or get to the version of you that you want to be, so you can be that version for your family. So go to fit-dad.club, leave a review, share this with another dad, get a little bit more mentally tough. Don't say shit you're not going to do, because that will break your self-belief and self-integrity. Only say you're going to do, just do what you said you're going to do, right? So don't talk shit to yourself and stick to it. Right? And then your self-belief and self-efficacy will increase and you'll start fucking kicking goals. Share this with someone, guys, and we will talk to you next week. Peace out.
Peace out.